back to my channel. So I'm coming on from where I left off because unfortunately the other video ran out of me. So I wanted to carry on talking about talking about my current interests and obsessions. So I was showing you this book, the sociology book here. And I was talking about the DK, Big Ideas Simply Explained, and this is one I'm currently looking at, but I've almost finished it. But these books are really good because they have like that. They're just really good. Everything's kind of really clearly laid out, like with timelines and sort of like flow charts. So you can see at a glance, like if you want to find out something really quickly, you can see at a glance, like in the flow charts, and it's almost like a kind of like an old school textbook really, which is what I really like. Like there, hang on, I'll just find one just to show you. Just like that, random. So, like, for example, you've got the key idea at the top. So, for example, Harold Garfinkel, 1917 to 2010. So, the key idea, for example, is pay to the most commonplace activities the attention accorded to extraordinary events. And then you've got, like, that key idea is then, like, summarised here in, like, sort of, like a flow chart. Like, so it says the structure of society is not determined top-down by a limited set of general rules. Instead, the rules are built bottom-up from our small exchanges and interactions. These rules can be seen in our spontaneous behaviour in everyday life, rather than in social structures and institutions. Pay to the most commonplace activities the attention accorded extraordinary events. So that's like the kind of basic summary of that idea. And then it's like putting context. At the side you have a context panel. So it says the focus here, the type of like idea this belongs to, the sort of genre of the idea if you like, is ethno-methodology. And then it provides like key dates, so like so you can see like where the idea like maybe came from, like what preceded the idea and what came after the idea. So like in 1895, you've got Durkheim advocates a strict scientific methodology for the social sciences in the rules of sociological method. And then it goes through like 1921 to 22, Max Weber's methodological individualism is explained in Economy and Society, and then finally it finishes off like say 1976, Anthony Giddens incorporates ideas of Garfinkel's ethno-methodology into mainstream sociology in his book New Rules of Sociological Method. So that's just like a really crude kind of like summary. Obviously it doesn't go into it in great detail, so like, but it's just enough to like kind of like make you think, I might want to find out more about this idea. Again, obviously like it explains it, so you know in that wall of text, you know, it kind of explains the idea in a little bit more detail. It doesn't go into like too much detail, obviously, because it's only like it's a reference book, so it doesn't go into it like in loads of detail, which you obviously wouldn't expect from a reference book. But it gives you just enough information to kind of pique your interest and maybe make you want to find out more. So like, yeah, really good in that respect. So I can't wait when I've collected all of the books. I've got about 5 more to go. I can't wait to have them all like lined up in alphabetical order in my bookshelf, like as a kind of like you know, an easy reference library. So that's the thing I'm really like obsessing about at the moment, and I'm kind of like obviously because I can't really relax until I have like the whole collection. Because although I know I'm going to get the whole collection, until I've got that collection in front of me there for me to see, like I guess concretely there in front of me, there's that like anxiety because I haven't yet got the collection. So I'm always like thinking, why would I get these books? What if something happens? And I know it's like completely irrational because obviously like in the worst case scenario the library's got them anyway, but I do want to own them myself because I like to have them. But yeah, so it's like it's hardly like I'm not going to be able to access these books, but it's like I just need them there, and like I get really obsessed and like focused on it because it's like something I'm really like currently really obsessed about. But it also does lead to anxiety because I'm constantly going over it in my head all the time, like even just to the shops, like basically 24/7. When I'm not thinking about something else, I'm thinking about the books. So that's what I mean by it being all encompassing. Yeah, and it can be quite distracting because like literally it's the one thing I'm focused on right now. So I've always been like that with various obsessions. The other one, which is kind of competing with the book one at the moment, is I have a bit of an obsession. I say obsession, I mean it kind of is an obsession in the sense that I think anything can be termed an obsession when it takes over your life and you're thinking about it 24/7. As far as I'm aware, that's when it becomes an obsession as opposed to just like an interest. So it has kind of, I think, gone over into that territory. because I am like very preoccupied at the moment with collecting teaware, like tea dishes. I haven't got too many of them, so it's a controlled collection, but I have got this kind of desire to complete my collection. And the other day when I went out, I went to Grange and I got this really nice, I'm really pleased I bought it. It was only £2, but I'm really pleased I bought it because it's like this, it's a tea dish, like a medium-sized tea dish, tea tray, like these like as retro ones. Unfortunately I haven't got it shown to camera at the moment, I might show it enough time. But it's really nice with a kind of farmyard scene on it, for serving tea, and like I could put my cups on there, and I actually think they're better than coasters because I like to use them on tabletops because like I have a little bit of an OCD about getting tabletops stained and stuff like that. And I didn't have one that particular size. I still need to get another large one. I've got one large one, but it's a bit boring, and I want a second one. Also, if I have guests, let's say my dad comes over and I want to like serve him something, I like the fact that we both have a tray to eat from. So I need to get another one, but that's kind of like making me a bit stressed because like until I've got that second one, it kind of feels like my collection's incomplete. And then of course I might need to get another medium one to make that equals. Again, I've got one small one, and then I feel I need to get another small one to make that equal. So that's kind of like obsessing me, even though it shouldn't obsess me, and it's completely irrational because these are like really easy items to get, but I still, until I've got them, I'm obsessing about it, which is completely irrational. Even though I know it's completely irrational, I can't stop obsessing about it. And it's the same with things like cups. I have to have a certain order, I have to have a certain selection. I have to have a certain number of a certain size, and I've got all different sizes. And while I like having a variety on one hand, and it's nice, at the same time I need to kind of like ensure that I have some kind of like order within my collection. So that's kind of like stressing me. And I have like this kind of almost like these competing tendencies within myself. On one hand, I'm a very, very controlled person. I like everything to be planned. I like everything to be controlled. So I'm not someone who will go out and literally buy everything all at once. And it's good I'm not that person, because otherwise, oh my god, I could get into quite a big trouble. But yes, I am very controlled in my spending. In actual fact, I probably don't spend half what most people spend. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't drive. You know, literally all my money, apart from food, goes on my interest. So I know, you know, it's not, you know, I'd rather, at least I'm addicted to books and not something that's actually going to kill me. So, you know, as far as addictions go, it's not a bad one. But you know, but I do at the same time, I have this kind of like obsession, like where on the one hand, like I want to be like all in control and like disciplined and methodical about it. On the other hand, I'm like, I need it all now. The world's going to end. I don't have it here in front of me right now. And I control that instinct because like the controlled element in me, I think is probably a bit more stronger than that element. So that is controlled, but it does kind of result in anxiety because I don't currently have the objects in front of me. If I can't see them, it kind of makes me anxious and really like until I've completed my obsession. Until I've completed my collection, I'm going to be feeling tense until the next collection comes along, of course, and that can happen. But yeah, I do seem to have become a bit more obsessed lately. I mean, obviously I've always had obsessions. When I was younger, my special interest tended to be more based around sort of subjects like Kate Winslet, obviously, which was very narrow. It began very narrow, but it later on branched out and she enabled me to get interested in other stuff, so it ended up having that positive element there, like sort of like dynamic within it. Nowadays, I'll say my interests aren't as narrow as they used to be. I mean, I am more willing to kind of experiment and try out new ideas and read different books. That definitely when I was younger, you know, when I was younger, my interests were very narrow. They were very limited, and very intense, very obsessive in one particular area, and I would want to exhaust that subject. And I didn't really nothing. Like my mum would be like, "Oh, why don't we go and read this?" And I'm like, "No, it's because it's not like connected to my interests." Now I'm a lot more open to reading different stuff. The issue now is that although it's more like focused on routine as opposed to particular subject area. So it's more like my routines are really narrow. Like I need to read at a certain time each day. That is like sacred time for me. It's basically reading, acquiring information, accumulating information, ordering information, mainly within the sort of social sciences. So like things, sociologists I just mentioned. You know, philosophy, culture. I don't know, I'm just really interested in finding out about the world. I've always had that, you know, avant-garde ideas, very interests me, all that kind of stuff. But I just have this real need to acquire information, to read words. Words kind of make sense to me in a way that I guess the social world doesn't. So obviously I'm going to put all of my resources and energy into something that does actually make sense and something that I am quite good at. I guess that's probably the reason why I am so interested in it, is because the social world is just like really hard work, and so I get all my information from books because that's the way I can actually access, get enjoyment out of things, I guess. But yeah, so as I say, my interests aren't as narrow as they used to be, but it's more that my routines that are now like taking over my life. I mean, I've always had that, obviously routines, interests. It's just they've kind of shifted a bit away from my interests being like really, really narrow, which they were when I was growing up, to now it's more that it's more become a routine. But I think the routine, has become a sort of narrow part of my life, I guess, because it's hard for me to break out of my routine. But I think maybe part of that is like when I was younger, I had more routine around me, that other people created my routine for me. So I've always needed routine and I've always hated change. But when I was younger, other people created that routine for me, so I didn't have to spend so much energy trying to create a routine. So I think that's part of the reason why when I was younger, it was more like a case of being really obsessed with like particular narrow interests. Whereas now as an adult, I have to kind of, although I've become, developmentally I've broadened out a bit and I'm not as rigid in terms of subject matter, but I'm having to kind of like create my routine more, and other people aren't there to do that. Like I'm not at school anymore, so I have to create that routine. So I think that might be part of the reason why and because like, I need routine so much, that might be part of the reason why like routine has become a bigger factor in my life. Like it's more like the routine as opposed to the, I'm still obviously, like I say, in terms of the fact, as I say, as you know, as I've talked about elsewhere, my main interests are food, cooking, and nutrition, and cooking, reading about that, and also philosophy and things like that. But I do enjoy reading quite a broad range of subject matter now. But what is more important for me is books themselves. It's more of a collecting of books, the ordering of books, and the routine associated with it, as opposed to the actual subject matter in and of itself, if that makes sense. Whereas when I was younger, it was more, I was very strict with the subject matter, but other people were creating that routine for me, so I didn't have to spend so much energy on actually crafting a routine so much, if that sort of makes sense. So let me know what you think about all this in the box below. Like if you can relate to any of what I've said, let me know if you have any collections, let me know how you relate to your interests. I do think there's some overlap for me with OCD as well, but I do have OCD as an additional kind of diagnosis, although sometimes it's hard to know where autism begins and the OCD ends, because like I've always had these issues, and obviously like the extreme intense interest, that is kind of part of the autism for me, but then getting like when it borders over into anxiety, and like that's when it, I guess, enters a bit of OCD territory. So there is that sort of like overlap for me because I've got both conditions. But let me know. It's like, I can't just get interested in something. It nearly always ends up as an OCD as well, but I think that's because, like, obviously because I am really, really interested in when I am really, really interested in something, it becomes very important to me, and anything that's really important to me results in anxiety because it is so important to me. If that makes sense. Okay, so I really am going to finish now, but I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and sorry that the previous video ran out on me. That's my mistake. I didn't delete some earlier videos, so it took up a lot of memory, but thank you for watching. I'm filming on Thursday, but I'm going to be uploading these. Oh yes, and I've just remembered, it's a good thing I've remembered, because I really forgot. These will come up actually on a Tuesday, because next Wednesday I'm doing a talk. So I'm going to try and upload these next Tuesday as opposed to next Wednesday. I hope that's okay, because normally I upload on Wednesdays. Okay, so thank you for watching.